Hi, my name is Christian Burgundy, and my topic is on toxic leadership in the modern workplace. So it's first important to discuss why does leadership even matter, or where the topic arose from. So first off, why is it important? Well, leadership quality is one of the strongest predictors of employee well-being, not only at work but outside of work, turnover, and job satisfaction, according to research. Research in industrial organizational psych shows that leadership styles are linked to motivation, performance, and culture in the workplace. Popular media like TikTok, Facebook, and social media as well is currently addressing the rising issues of toxic bosses, burnout, and the importance of mental health related to work. So it's also important to discuss first off, what is leadership? Well, leadership is a social process which individuals use their influence over others to achieve a common goal. Leaders are chosen to be followed and not forced, and also not to be confused with managers. Leaders and managers the term is often used interchangeably, but somebody can be a leader and not a manager, and somebody can be a manager and not a leader. You can be both, but the terms are separate. In the workplace, this translates to motivating and guiding employees. This can be both. We usually think of leadership as positive, but it can be destructive, as we are talking about in this PowerPoint. So also, what is toxic leadership or destructive leadership, as it's also called, and where is it discussed? First off, toxic leadership is any leadership that is abusive or harmful. Examples of this can include micromanagement, manipulation, and intimidation. Modern research is discovering and studying more actions and behaviors in the workplace that are deemed as abusive and harmful, which are examples of toxic leadership. On paper, sometimes it might appear as high performing when toxic leadership is shown if quotas or sales are being met and if they are being prioritized over the relationships with the employees or the well-being of the employees. And literature has described two different dimensions of destructive leadership. One being encouraging followers to pursue destructive goals or using destructive methods of influence with the followers. An example of this could be maybe a boss yelling and humiliating employees with the intent to get their performance to increase, or a boss that threatens to fire employees for not working overtime. So, what is currently happening? Currently, toxic leadership is becoming more prevalent, but also more visible right now with the presence of social media and popular media and the internet. Research from Gallup shows that burnout and disengagement are now at record high rates as of 2023 and 2024. Employees right now are actively discussing abusive bosses and report feeling undervalued and overworked. Workers today now expect fairness, which aligns with the equity theory, purpose, and transparency. But because of this expectation, they are now quitting more jobs frequently to achieve this goal. And my apologies, why it's happening according to the literature. Well, organizational pressure encourages authoritarian behavior and reinforces it. Research from Tepper found that toxic leaders emerge in high pressure and high demand environments. And once performance becomes more valued over the people, leaders end up shifting towards intimidation tactics and focusing on control to achieve that performance instead of the well-being of the employees. Another reason is the lack of leadership training. A large amount of managers are being promoted based on their performance and not their interpersonal skills. This aligns with what we talked about earlier, how they are identifying good performance and results within people and promoting them, but maybe the method that they achieve those results isn't healthy, such as stressing out your employees or just not taking care of the well-being of your employees to achieve those results. And this supports the research by Cameron and Quinn that organizational culture drives behavior more than individual traits. My apologies. Leadership dimensions imbalance is another reason. Leaders that are low on concern for people but high on production lead to these toxic styles. Also, leaders who focus too much on rule enforcing and low on flexibility are the ones that end up becoming micromanagers. And they care more about the rules than giving their employees the flexibility to achieve the common goal that they're trying to achieve. Also, a lack of accountability is what creates this cycle that goes unpunished and what allows the toxic leaders to remain in those positions or just for the overall toxic culture to remain. So, how do we fix it? Well, research shows that leadership training and development has been shown to fix it, but only through different specific research-backed interventions. One of them being emotional intelligence training, another being communication skills and conflict resolution skills, also empathy and perspective taking workshops, and lastly, coaching and mentoring. Another way that we can fix it is through structural change in the workplace, through realistic workloads for employees and managers, manageable supervisor to employee ratios, and incentives that not only combine or focus on output, but they combine it with teamwork as well. We can also fix it through accountability systems. This can be done through scheduled leadership evaluations and by correlating promotions with not only results, but with the behaviors as well. And as for employees, this means, as for fixing this from an employee perspective, this means documenting incidents, setting boundaries to protect yourself from these toxic leaders or toxic environments, but also modeling positive behaviors to foster good leadership and also reinforcing the actions leaders, the positive actions leaders take to reinforce the behavior and also foster good leadership in the workplace. So, right now, there's a difference in opinions and facts, or what is being stated between popular media and research and academic literature. As of right now, popular media is currently saying that toxic bosses are everywhere, or providing viral videos of dramatic personal experiences of people dealing with toxic bosses. There's a lot of blame being placed on newer generations like millennials and Gen Z on either not wanting to work or being entitled, and that's why they're quitting jobs. They're also recommending quick fixes to toxic leadership, like switching jobs or just publicly shaming the bosses, saying that that is the solution. And also, employees on social media or popular media is advising to use certain strategies, such as doing the bare minimum and clocking out, or using weaponized incompetence to get back at these toxic leaders and retaliate. Meanwhile, academic literature and research is showing that leadership at times is contextual and not always personal to that specific individual or toxic leader or toxic individual, and the that it comes from pressure, poorly structured systems, and unclear or unreasonable expectations. And overall, it points out that research points out that systemic change is more effective than individual blame. The media is right now focusing on blaming bad bosses and employees, along with giving tips to lower engagement at the workplace, while research is showing that toxic leadership is a result of systemic culture and stress and not personality and the specific individual. Now, the conclusions and takeaways that we can get from this are that leadership strongly shapes workplace outcomes. Toxic leadership is often systemic and a product of culture and pressure, more less so individual factors and personality, and that good leadership is teachable and employees can encourage it. But organizations do have to intervene with these workshops and training to improve it. And my final takeaway from this is that good leadership is not an option. It's essential for the well-being of people and employees at work and outside of work. And most importantly, for an organization to succeed, this is crucial for the success of the organization. Awareness and consistent actions, both at organizational and individual levels, can lead to meaningful change with toxic leadership. Thank you.